If you have ever wondered why gambling is so addictive, stay tuned to this episode of MysterE's Mysteries. I am Mr. E, and we are here to talk about all things mysterious in the world of psychology. If you have ever studied psychology, studied human behavior, anything along those lines, one of the things that kind of trains us to be the humans that we are is something called conditioning. We're going to be talking a little bit about operant conditioning, specifically reinforcement, today. We are going to specifically talk about a schedule of reinforcement that we can find in all sorts of different walks of life. And the schedule of reinforcement that we're going to be talking about is one called variable ratio. And the variable ratio schedule of reinforcement is heavily involved with and twisted into the world of gambling, and specifically the one-armed bandit slot machines. So a variable ratio schedule, there are multiple schedules of reinforcement. One of those is called the variable ratio schedule. I've said variable ratio schedule a lot. I think I've said it already like 10 times in this episode. Anyway, so this schedule, what happens is you are going to be reinforced, which means you're going to be given a reward after a random number of responses that you give. Okay. So I like musky fishing. I haven't musky fished a lot recently, but I really like it. And I know why it can be really addicting. And musky fishing is actually very similar to slot machines. Okay. So here we go. If you've ever talked to mom or grandma or great grandma or great grandpa or grandpa, whatever, and they love to sit in the slot machines and pull that bar down, okay? Or now they have that nice easy button that you can push instead of pulling the slot machine arm down. It's a lot easier for you. This is why it's so addicting. The makers of these slot machines get these set up on a variable ratio schedule, and they all are designed to win a certain amount of times and a certain amount in general. And if you've ever heard this, like the house wins a certain percentage, those types of things, you have slot machines that are hot, that sort of thing. They are designed to win at a maximum 30% of the time, right? At a maximum. Which means the house wins at least 70% of the time. So why do people do it? Well, they don't focus on that end game. They focus on the immediacy of this variable ratio schedule of reinforcement. So here we go. Stick with me here. All right. Let's say you pull the slot down and you put $20 in, you pull the slot down and you lose down to $18. What are you going to do? You're going to pull the slot machine down again and you lose. You're down to $16. What are you going to do again? Pull the slot machine down. You lose again. You're down to $14. In your head, you're saying to yourself, what? I'm going to win this time. So fifth time, you pull that down. You win. Woohoo! But you go from $14 to $17. You're still down $3, but you won. Okay, so you won 1 in 5 times. But it's not consistent. So you're like, all right, so I won. Let's try this again. So you pull the slot machine down and you lose. You're down to 15. Pull the slot machine down, you win. Woohoo! You're up to 19. Now you pull the slot machine down. You're down to $5. All right, $5 left. I might as well stay here, right? Pull the slot machine down. Boom! Win up to $12. Well, you're still down $8, but you won. Okay. So now you're like, all right, let's keep her going. You pull the slot machine down, pull it down, pull it down. You get to your last dollar. You're like, all right, this is going to start winning again. You put another $20 in, pull the slot machine. Hey, you won. You're up to $24. You think that you're up $4 when you're actually down 16. But whatever. Hey, that's, you won. And so you never know at which moment you're going to win. But to win, you have to pull that slot machine lever down. So you're sitting there, you have to pull the slot machine to win. So you have to respond. And you don't know at what response you're going to win. So you just keep pulling that slot machine. That's why gambling's so addicting. That's why slot machines are so addicting. And ultimately, the majority of people that walk out of these casinos are going to lose, but they're going to get that big time rush of dopamine because they're honestly never knowing at what response they're going to win. So I want to go back to musky fishing. Musky fishing, if you don't know, and if you're not from the Wisconsin or Minnesota or those types of states, you might not know what musky fishing is. But musky fishing is muskies they can be gigantic, um, but they're fish that take a lot of work and a lot of casts. So it's not. I mean, you can troll for them, which means you can put a lure in the water and just float down the lake, but ultimately you cast for them in various locations. And if you're not casting, you can't catch one. So you're going to want to cast every time. And we're talking these fish can get, 50 plus inches long. Okay. So we're looking at like a really, really big fish is 4 feet, right? I mean, 4 feet long. That's as big as a 7-year-old, right? The 6 or 7-year-old. Yeah. That's a big fish. And it's pretty exciting. So you cast nothing, and it's a fish of like 1,000 or maybe 10,000 casts, right? I mean, it takes forever to even see one of these. So you cast, reel in, cast, reel in, cast, reel in, cast, reel in. All day you do this, cast, reel in, cast, reel in. You change locations, cast, reel in, right? And then you cast and you reel and you see one. And that little sucker, who's not so little, let's say he's a 46-inch fish. All right. So he's almost 4 feet long, is following your lure. And right next to the boat, you do something called a figure eight, where you take your lure and you just kind of go like this and you hope that it follows it and then it's going to snatch it. Right. Okay. But it swims off and you're upset. But what are you going to do right away? Cast, reel in, cast, reel in, cast, reel in, because you just got the biggest rush because you saw this monster, right? So you cast, reel in, cast, reel in, cast, reel in, and you're thinking, I'm going to get that one, or there are others right here, right? And then all of a sudden you catch one. And it is a huge rush. And then the rest of the week, you could go out and you're going to keep casting, keep hoping that you're going to catch that next one, but it doesn't happen, right? The third example that I want to give you is for any of the salespeople that are out there. If you've ever experienced sales, if you've ever been, if a salesperson has ever talked to you, oftentimes salespersons, they live on a variable ratio scale, whether it's cold calling, whether it's stopping at doors, whether it's emails, whatever it is. If they're not responding, they can't make money if they function on a commission scale. So if they're only going to get paid if they sell things, they need to respond, which means they need to go door to door. They need to make phone calls. They need to send emails, one of those three things. And as they go through that, as they go from door to door, they could get turned down 100 times, but that 101st time could be their big sale where they get this monster commission. Right. So you never know at which response you're going to be rewarded. Okay. It can be so this type of scale, like when you look at it, it's like, what are the benefits? What are the negatives? One of the benefits is that you are responding. So you kind of are in charge of it. You can respond as much as you want. But one of the downfalls is it can be very fatiguing as well because you are constantly having to respond. So it can get kind of tiring. Musky fishing, your elbow hurts, or wrist, whatever. My wife and I call it the musky wrist. Or with gambling, you can go broke, or with sales, you can live in utter frustration when you're responding all these times and it's not happening. It can get rather frustrating. So there are lots of positives, lots of negatives to it. Um, but the fact of the matter is, it can be incredibly, incredibly addicting, and it's just a fascinating story. And to highlight this, it goes to show that in so many aspects of our life, we are conditioned so powerfully by our environment that we're kind of like lab rats, where we don't even realize sometimes how conditioned we are until we take a step back and we think about it. And gambling, fishing, and door-to-door sales are a few of those examples. So I hope you found this interesting. Once again, if you are enjoying these, go to our places where you can find podcasts, which would include Apple and Spotify. Anywhere else that you can find podcasts, come and join us. Check us out on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, et cetera, et cetera. Once again, a big thank you to our producer and director, Bear Wade. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining us once again. See ya.